Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I'm your host Iqbal Bhana. Welcome back, and I hope you've had a wonderful week in the last week since we last met. Today I have a special guest. We want to talk about something that many of us don't talk about. We hear about it, we think about it, we understand some of it, and we know that we need to do something about it, but sometimes somehow we don't. It's an issue around foster parents and foster carers. We have a lot of Muslim children, unfortunately, in this country who are without parents for whatever reason. People may have passed away, people may have lost their parents, they may become single families, parents can't cope, single parents can't cope, etc. And there's a huge issue about fostering within the Muslim community. We have, and as we know, there are hundreds of, and I'll get my guest to give you the figures probably, young kids dotted throughout the whole of the UK who are desperately looking for foster carers within the Muslim community, and who are not being placed with non-Muslim parents around the world, around the country as well. There's nothing wrong with that, but ideally, in terms of Islamic etiquette, Islamic education, Islamic ethos and environment, I'm sure many of these kids, if they were placed with Muslim foster carers, then their Iman, their Islam would be preserved. So this is an issue that we all hear about, we all talk about, and the reverse of that is where, because there's a lack of Muslim foster carers, Muslim children are then being placed with non-Muslim families, and then we were concerned about their faith issues. And the other way around is where there are Muslim carers and they bring non-Muslim children there, there's issues about whether these children are being indoctrinated, whether their culture, their identity is being messed around with, indoctrinated in different ways. So these are some of the very complex, difficult issues and challenges that all of us face, whether you're Muslim or not non-Muslim. Foster caring is not an easy task to do. It takes a special person. There are many people out there who think they might not be able to do it, but they don't realize how valuable it can be at times when you become a foster carer. So today I have somebody who knows about this area really, really well, because he's deeply involved in the work that he does. He runs the Muslim Foster Network from Bradford, and I'm really glad that Shadim Hussain is here today to talk about these issues. Shadim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to IQRA TV.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Iqbal.
How are you? I've been told you don't live too far away from the studio.
No, I could have walked here actually. I was that
could
close.
Could you? All right. Well, I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Fostering obviously is something close to your heart. Yeah. You run the Muslim Foster Network. How big is that network? Is that a UK-wide thing, or is it just a local, regional network?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So our organization, our mother company is Mercy Mission.
Right.
So alhamdulillah, Mercy Mission has been established in the UK since 2007. Our primary focus is looking at challenges within the Muslim community here in the UK. So the latest project that we're working on is the Muslim Foster Network.
Right.
Primary purpose of the project is to raise awareness in the Muslim community about the shortage of Muslim foster carers, and to support and educate those who are interested in becoming foster carers, and I guess to guide them through that process.
Right. I mean, I'm sure because you work in this field quite a lot, how many Muslim children are there in this country at this moment who are looking for placement?
Yeah, this is often a question that comes up.
Right.
And it's a bit of a challenging area, because one of the issues we have is that when Muslim children go into care, or when any children go into care, it's not a statutory requirement for services to record their faith.
Oh, isn't there?
No.
Right.
So it's a statutory requirement for them to record their ethnicity,
right,
however not their faith. Okay. So we can get very accurate readings based upon the breakdown of ethnicities. However, faith is not regularly recorded, and therefore it's difficult to get an exact figure. Okay. So the latest report indicated that there's somewhere between 3,000 to 4,000 Muslim children in care.
Wow.
However, and possibly up to half of them living with non-Muslim carers.
Right.
Okay. However, based on our knowledge and access that we've had in the last 2 years working with local authorities across the UK, we believe the figure to be much higher. I would estimate it would be probably closer to 6,000 to 7,000 Muslim children in care.
6,000 to 7,000 Muslim children.
That's right.
Who are in care at this moment in time.
In April 2017, Iqbal Bhai, there was 4,250 unaccompanied refugee children living in care.
Right.
Yeah, 4,250. And obviously we know the various countries that have been affected by war and famine in the last decade, and a high number of these children come from Muslim countries. So we can ascertain from that figure alone that a significant portion of those children will be Muslim.
Right.
On top of that, we've worked quite closely with local authorities, such as our local authority here, Bradford, and 22 other local authorities across the UK. Including various local authorities in the London area. And what we have done is we have supported local authorities to help their foster carers who are looking after Muslim children. So this is non-Muslim foster carers looking after Muslim children.
Right.
And we developed a guide which we've distributed 3,000 copies of this guide across the UK. Alhamdulillah, fi sabilillah.
Right.
And we've also provided gift boxes during Ramadan and Eid to non-Muslim carers looking after Muslim children. And the purpose of the gift box was to welcome Ramadan and highlight to those carers and show them appreciation, alhamdulillah, for the great work they're doing, but also make them aware of what Ramadan is about and how important Eid is. You know, it's a time of heightened faith sensitivity. And some of these children will have come from those environments where they're very much used to that, the buzz around Eid and Ramadan, you know. So alhamdulillah, through 22 local authorities, we've distributed 560 of these gift boxes.
Right.
Okay. So just, again, these are our estimates based upon our access points, but if you were to extrapolate that figure across the UK, and there's in the region of about 200 local authorities, the figure is going to be extremely higher.
So in a sense, I mean, the age group of the children that go into care can range from what, so newborns, maybe not newborns, I don't know, you tell me.
No, it's right.
From
it's
newborns
right,
to the age of 16, 17, 18, is it?
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely. So there is unfortunately circumstances where children need to be taken into care from birth.
Right.
You know, and those circumstances can arise from issues to do with the birth mother or the parents not being capable or not deemed to be capable to look after those children. And social services will already be possibly involved with that family. There might already be other children that have been taken into care. Yeah, so it is possible that children from birth can go into foster care.
Good gracious.
Of course, there's two areas here. One is adoption, and the other one is fostering. So quite often, what we've seen is that children who go into care from a younger age, they will generally more likely end up becoming adopted.
Right.
Yeah. Those who go into care from, let's say, a slightly older age, they will generally stay within fostering.
Right.
So yeah, the figures across the UK, as of the last consensus, there was approximately 80,000 children in care.
Good gracious, in this country?
Yeah, absolutely, across the UK. This is national.
Right. So I mean, obviously, that's in terms of the number of Muslim children that you talk about. You're talking about the best guesstimate.
Yes.
In reality, is around 6,000 to 7,000 children. Between 5,000 and 7,000 children in the UK. I mean, as you say, predominantly there may be people who've come into this country as asylum seekers, refugees, children with no adult supervisors or carers with them. But I mean, if in the absence of that group of people who've recently come into this country, from the normal population, the general population, there is still a high number of young Muslim kids who need to be looking for either adoption or foster care parents.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yeah. What I've seen, Iqbal Bhai, is that the looked after population in any given area is reflective of the community that lives in that area.
Right.
Yeah. So you might have certain areas where there's a disproportionate number of children from an ethnic group. However, what we have seen is, in most cases, we've commissioned a piece of research as part of our project. So the Foster Network, which is the largest charity that works in this sector, they looked into this issue for us, and 5 local authorities across the UK were part of this study.
Right.
That report is due to be issued in the spring of 2019. So hopefully, inshallah, when that report comes to light, we'll have some more accurate data. And again, as I mentioned earlier, because faith is not recorded, it's difficult to get that exact figure, yeah? But based on our estimates, which is somewhere between 6,000 and 7,000 Muslim children in care, let's say that of those 4,250 unaccompanied refugee children in care, if 70–80% of them were Muslim, yeah, then about half of the overall population is these unaccompanied refugee children,
Right.
and the other half would be the domestic population across the UK.
Right.
And I guess if you look at the overall statistics, if there is 80,000 children in care, and the Muslim community, we are around 5 to 6% of the overall UK population, yeah, then based on that extrapolation, you're talking 3,000 to 4,000 children just being reflective of the community.
Right. So in a sense, I mean, that is a huge figure.
Indeed.
For the Muslim community, there's no doubt about it, to navigate through and think about. I mean, obviously, the Prophet ﷺ was also, in a way, fostered, nurtured by a mother, who gave her milk to him and raised him. So in a way, she adopted him, fostered him for a while after he was born. So this tradition of looking after other children is not alien to the Muslim community, and the Prophet ﷺ said, gave us an example. Allah right from the beginning gave us an example of how we need to care for other children. In terms of the complex nature of becoming a foster parent, how difficult is it to navigate through the process, for ordinary people?
Yeah. So the reason why the project was set up and the Muslim Foster Network was set up was because we saw that it's quite challenging, and there didn't seem to be a shortage of people coming forward. A significant number of people do come forward.
Oh, right.
In the last almost 2 years it is now, well, alhamdulillah, 18 months since we established the project, we've had close to 1,500 people register with us. Yeah.
Right.
So a significant number of people come forward. Yeah. The issue is that the general statistics on the number of people who come forward to apply to become foster carers and those who get approved is 1 in 10.
Right.
Okay.
So only 1 in 10 person is sort of approved to go forward.
This is from the general population.
Right.
Okay. And our belief from our data is that the percentage of Muslim foster carers who get approved is lower than that.
All right.
Okay. Now, the primary reason for that is because the basic minimum requirement for you to become a foster carer is that you need to have a spare bedroom.
Right. Yes, which is understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. And mashallah, the Muslim population, generally we have a larger than average number of children. Okay. So mashallah, because we have larger families and there's a tendency for generations to live together in the same household, the biggest barrier to entry for the Muslim community is that spare bedroom.
Right. So
that's the first challenge. The second challenge is that in order for you to be approved to become a foster carer, you have to have a reasonably good level of English. You have to be able to advocate on behalf of that child that you're looking after. You have to be able to report based upon the requirements for you as a foster carer. So if you're looking after a child, there's a log you need to keep, there's a reporting methodology, etc., etc. So these are some of the entry-level criteria which some people from within the Muslim community struggle to get beyond.
Right.
Okay, and unfortunately, because the spare bedroom is a basic minimum requirement, you're not getting past first base, unfortunately. Okay, so that counts a high number of people out.
Right.
The second issue is that...
Can I just stop you there? We have a call coming in.
Yeah.
So somebody's ringing in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to IQRA TV. Who am I speaking to, please?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm a first-time caller.
MashaAllah, very good. No, don't be nervous. We're more nervous than you are sitting here.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Firstly, my name is Muhammad Bashir.
Muhammad Bashir, MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I've been involved in fostering
Right.
for the last 15 years.
MashaAllah.
I've been in social work for over 20 years.
Right.
So over the years, I've, mashallah, dealt with a lot of foster carers of different faiths, different
Right.
backgrounds, different cultures, who
Right.
foster children of various communities.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like the opportunity, really, just to join in on your conversation, if that's
By
possible.
all means, yes. This is your program. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
What's your point, Mohammed Saab?
Well, my point really, obviously every child is important, but in particular from our community, in the last 5 to 10 years, I've
Right.
seen an increase in the numbers of Muslim children
Right.
that are coming into foster care.
Right.
And I think as a community, we really have to start to look at how we can address some of the issues that are facing our children and our families.
Right.
And as a result, the children that come into foster care.
Yes.
I mean, firstly, that's one point. The second point is about how we address the shortage of Muslim foster carers and foster carers in general,
Right.
but particularly in areas like, Yorkshire, Bradford, in Birmingham, parts of London,
Where there's
Manchester,
a large Muslim population.
where there's a large Muslim population.
Right.
And it's about how we can encourage, the wider debate in encouraging people from our communities to come into foster care.
Well, that's why
and how we can support them.
Yeah, that's why I invited Shadim here today to help us, raise that awareness of the need to have more Muslim foster carers. But first, people need to know how big is this issue within our community. And as he said, he reckons that between 5 to 7,000, 6 to 7,000 children in care are from the Muslim background. So, I mean, you've been doing this for 15 years, obviously. MashaAllah, may Allah bless you and reward you for your effort. I mean, how rewarding have you found it?
I can tell you immensely. I mean, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you can, save the deen of one person,
Yes.
so the reward of it. And I think from our perspective, what I've seen is the difference that it can make to a child's life in being placed with a Muslim foster parent,
Right.
a parent who reflects their language, their religion, their culture, identity. It's massive. I mean, I often give this example that whenever, you go traveling or you go somewhere else, the first thing that you see is if you see another Muslim person, you instantly have that connection.
Yes.
Yeah? And imagine that for a child who's been taken away from their family for whatever reason, and then they are placed into an alien environment.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Where everything that their eyes are used to, it's the complete opposite of that.
And obviously that can be quite traumatic, and also
Massively traumatic.
it can be very traumatic. I mean,
Indeed.
you would agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And therefore, this notion that I mean, there was a time when there was this issue around cultural sensitivity and placing children within the type of culture and ethnic background and faith background that they come from, and then that was reversed to a certain extent because it was considered to be inappropriate. Now, I mean, because there is a lack of Muslim foster carers, other agencies are stepping in. So, I mean, which part of the country are you from, Mohammed Bashir Saab?
I'm from the Midlands,
All right.
but I've had the pleasure of working with foster carers throughout the UK and in fact in Europe as well.
All right, excellent.
Inshallah.
So,
I've worked with
I mean, between the two of you, what are the main? Why do you think Muslim Muslim people are not coming forward to become foster carers? Is it because they don't know how to navigate through the process, or is it simply because, as Brother Shadim says, the criteria, one spare bedroom is absolutely fundamental, that we don't have that sort of infrastructure where somebody has got that spare bedroom, therefore they can become a foster carer.
I mean, firstly, Baba, the number one issue is awareness.
Right.
And alhamdulillah, I'm grateful that you've given us the opportunity to come here today and discuss this with you. And I had a chance meeting with Dr. Qureshi at the MCB event recently, and it was just 2 weeks ago, and he said, look, we're going to get you guys on air and discuss this because it's a very important topic, yeah? So I'm very appreciative.
We have done this before on IQRA on this program.
Alhamdulillah.
We've done it a few times before.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Brother Muhammad Bashir, you've phoned from the Midlands. I mean, from your experience, what does the Muslim community need to do? Or particularly, let's say the Muslim institutions, the mosques and the councils of mosques and the other institutions, what do they need to do to try and get more and more Muslim people to consider and become actually foster carers?
I mean, can I just say, I mean, firstly, there are a couple of organizations, mashallah, over the last few years, in particular Mercy Mission and also Penny Appeal, have been raising the profile of fostering. However, you know, it depends on how the audience is targeted. So, I mean, I've actually had the pleasure over the last couple of years in doing some work where Shadim has also been involved in. And I have to say that the strategy that Shadim and his colleagues use has been fantastic, because it's about bringing it to a ground level. You know, it's all fantastic when people have, you know, online campaigns and everything else. But generally, with our community, what really works is that face-to-face personal involvement and dialogue. Because I've noticed that amongst the Muslim community, particularly when it comes to, you know, quote-unquote social services, they become very nervous. So I think there needs to be that awareness in terms of how we engage our community, how we show them, and to a degree, we may have to a degree, hold their hand a little bit, and say, actually, fostering involves this. This is the type of support you get. This is what's out there. And I think once we can crack that, and I think we have started to do that with organizations like Shadim, so doing some fantastic work. But I think we also need it from a local ground level in terms of the masjid, the local community organization. I mean, very rarely, I mean, if I just speak about the Midlands, there are a few masjids here or there might make a comment. But it's not really a debate that's had regularly.
And that's the point I think I was trying to make at the top of the program, to say we hear about it, we discuss it maybe, you know, every now and then, but we don't really talk about this. Brother Muhammad Bashir, thank you very much for your very kind call. It's been really illuminating, and may Allah bless you for all the hard work you do.
Ameen.
We're going to be going for a break very shortly, and I'm sure there'll be other foster carers who want to share their experience with us. Coming back to you, Brother Shadim, in the sense of local authorities and social care or structures, how welcoming are they? I mean, you know, of new people from the Muslim community who want to come forward and register as potential foster carers. I mean, I know a few years ago, I mean, I worked in local government 25 years ago. It was very different. Has that changed now?
I mean, the reality is that when you're dealing with a local authorities, there's bureaucracy. You know, there is a number of layers of management you need to get through to get to the right decision makers. Alhamdulillah, with our project, we've persevered, and you know, when we first started, we found it quite challenging to engage with local authorities, and the best reception we got was from independent agencies. MashaAllah, Muhammad Bashir, who was just on the call there, you know, they have an agency. An
inspirational man.
MashaAllah,
they really inspirational. Yes.
Worked for an agency in the Midlands. They're an independent foster agency, and they support local authorities to identify people from the community, okay, and support them to find foster carers. So alhamdulillah, we found that dealing with the independent sector, the independent foster agencies, has been relatively easy for us. However, we've now had a fantastic breakthrough. We were mentioned in 2 government reports. So in 2017, November, there was a government report on a safeguarding strategy for unaccompanied refugee children in this country. And they mentioned our project and they praised the work that we're doing.
Very good.
In 2018, there was Sir Martin Neri, he did an audit for the government. It was a major piece of work. I think in many decades it was the biggest piece of work done on fostering. So he did a report for central government to...
Right. I'm going to stop you, Shadi. I'm sorry. Brothers and sisters, we're going for a break. I'm really grateful to Muhammad Bashir from the Midlands who called us and illuminated us with some of his personal experiences, knowledge. We'll be coming back soon, inshallah. Take care. Make yourself a cup of tea, coffee. Don't go away. This is a very important subject we want to come back to very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.